And so, beloved masters, we welcome you on this day. And it is a time of grand consideration on the planet of loving yourself. We are speaking today about we are one in love, and together we stand. Each being that is on this ball is a part of the whole. And therefore, as you love yourself, you begin to love the whole. And the more you can love the whole, everyone on earth, and Gaia, the Earth Mother herself, loving from the center of your heart and soul, allows you to experience a sense of love within yourself that you have not experienced perhaps in lifetimes. The healing of standing together, no sides, standing together in love, and being open to the loving, and being open to the healing of the wounds that you have carried since the logical mind began to work its way thousands of years ago. Logic, the, yes, personal ego, is a wily creature. It is an intimate part of each individual. God created it. It is everyone is both dark and light. And yet the logical mind, which really focuses primarily on the dark side, the negativity, what's wrong with me, with you, with the world. But that is only for balance. And logic has said, but in order to get what you desire in this place, you must be totally of the light. You must be totally good, pure. You must be perfect. And yet, if God was perfect, none of this would be here now. So, loving the whole of you and loving the whole of the world. Compassionate objectivity. For the logical mind looks for divisiveness, it looks for conflict, it looks for who to blame, it looks for the flaws in self. If I was better, if I had done it right, if I was really a good person, these things that I'm experiencing wouldn't be happening to me. Yes, they would. Because the choice to live life on the earth is a choice for growth, for evolution. We keep reminding you that you were created, divinely made, to be co-creators with God, Goddess, all that is. Co-creators. Feel it. Feel that ability within you to be open to your own divinity. For certainly religions have talked about God being divine, talked about the Master Jesus being the only one that could create the miracles, live the miracles, be a miracle. And yet, dearly beloved masters, each one of you was created to create just the way the Master Jesus does. He did not come to this planet to tell you what was wrong with you. He came to this planet to teach. This is who you are. This is what you can create. I am that I am, one with all that is. And so are you. Jesus did not come to be superior. He came as your brother. He came as one who loves you without any condition. And yes, he came to teach, to show you ways of mastering your capabilities. And his time was short as far as what the physical world observed. But he demonstrated, he arose, he came up over the limitations of the physical body, mind, and emotions. And he said, even though the ego mind has shoved it under the rug, he said, all of these things that you have seen me do, and even greater than these, ye shall do if you have the faith of a grain of mustard. And because the logical mind tends to think that the bigger things are, the better they are, the idea of the faith of a grain of mustard, well, that's not a whole lot of faith. And yet, the Master Jesus was giving the understanding that that grain of mustard becomes a tree that is so much larger than you could imagine. Such a tiny seed, about the size of the head of a match, could produce. You are grand. You are glorious. You are divinely made. And the choice that your soul has made, not your ego, not your logic, your soul has made for you to walk this journey, to live lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, a soul that is eternal, a soul that is constantly seeking new levels of awareness and understanding, thousands of lifetimes that you've had. And you may or may not remember. There is a lot of energy coming to you about remembering in these times, remembering where you've been, remembering other lives. It isn't the kind of memory I reach back into my childhood and I remember my fifth birthday. It's not that kind of a memory. When you are moving on a timeline that is beyond the imagining, and you ask Spirit to show you what will help you now to forgive, to love, to accept, to create, enjoy, enjoy. Because the logical mind can tell you of these things. The master book says, "In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would not tell you." Mastery requires transparency. Mastery requires authenticity, honesty, integrity, dominion, not over others, but over your own affairs. Being who you are is truly the easiest thing in the world. But you've been programmed in this illusion that who you are, even who you are at the very core of your being, isn't good enough. You're still at the mercy of God. And I am here to tell you, dearly beloved masters, that the mercy of God encompasses the fact that even though you are divine creative masters, you are confronted again and again and again throughout lifetimes with new situations. They may be similar to things you've lived before, but they're not the same. And each time you meet them, it's different. You're different. Not just a different time or a different place or even a different vehicle, but you are in a process of growth, changing, remembering how it is to be a divine creative master. with nothing to prove except yourself, with nothing to learn except for yourself. And the logical mind says that's selfishness. And the divine says, know thyself. Because if you don't know who you are, if you're not aware of your own capabilities, then, dearly beloved masters, you've cheated yourself out of some of the greatest gifts that life has to offer. I am one with all that is. I am that I am. I am glorious. I am grand. Not more glorious or more grand. I am glorious as I am, a unique, one-of-a-kind individual that was never created to keep measuring themselves against others. And that doesn't mean isolation or being alone. It means the strength of being willing to stay with yourself, be aware. What are you thinking? What are you creating? What are you calling into your life? And as you think about it intellectually, and by the way, the intellect is neither right nor wrong. The intellect is an information gatherer. And it is a lot of what the intellect does really depends on where you're getting your information. Are you using the information that you gather wisely? Because within you, the soul is connected to a well of wisdom that you've gathered throughout lifetimes in love. And yes, sometimes in war, in conflict, in death, in destruction, you've had multitudes of experiences. So today, who you are here is a product of thousands of lifetimes. And the records of that are recorded in your DNA. If you mentally conceive of that much information, you would think in terms of a multitude of really large computers holding all the information. But the amazing, miraculous ability of divine creativity allows you to store the ability to access what you require for your own creative ability. Know thyself. Explore yourself energetically. Yes, pay attention to the thoughts you have that are unpleasant, that are dire, things that you think about yourself and or others that you've been taught, if you've gone to church, and all of you have sometime. You've been programmed by a society that tells you what's wrong with you. And the ego says, well, I don't really need to tell you what's right with you because you know that. So why should I have to reinforce it for you? So people don't communicate, or they communicate a lot of times the worst possible outcomes. What is exciting? Ooh, did you hear what they were doing? Do you know what she is? Have you seen him? Are you beautiful? Not really. Why? Why do you question that you are beautiful? And that is something to go within energetically, allow your consciousness to just float down into the soul center. Spirit, in this time of revelation, help me to see, to face, to acknowledge, and to transform why I do not believe I am beautiful. How could anyone ever tell you that you're anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you that you're less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. The truth of each one. When we say you were made by love, in love, to love, that is so far beyond what the logical mind will allow you to explore. You energetically are required to connect in your soul center. Feel it in your heart. So many people have closed their hearts off, and the heart is really the most important organ in the body. The scientists for so long said it was the brain, but they're beginning to really realize in these times of revelation that the most important organ in your body is your heart. Your heart. And the beauty of the heart seed, which is waiting for the love to water it so that your love can grow, so that your heart, which is so connected to the other, to the amazing, miraculous beingness of worlds that you could be connected with right now, except that throughout time, you have been told that the mystery, that mystical magic of life was a story, not real, just a pretty thing to make you wish you had something you don't. But deep in your heart, as you move through that portal within you into your own connection to worlds beyond worlds, beyond worlds, the connection to the divine within. And in that recognition, in that feeling, in that depth of owning right now, right here, in this place, in this time, I am one with all there is. There is not one person on this globe that I am not divinely connected to. And it is lifetimes of misdirection, of subtle depositing of negative thoughts, very small, just enough to make you doubt, just enough to make you question, just enough to make you afraid of faith. The game of separation. How cunning, how calculating the small self can be. It can be a companion in love, if that's where you focus. But the logical mind has been impressed with its own ability to lead others astray. And throughout lifetimes, it has convinced who knows how many souls. There's 8 billion on this planet, but then there's universes. How many has this ego self convinced that I'm not good enough, I'm not deserved, I am not worthy of the love of God because look what I have done. But logic calls you to only focus on the negative things you've done, the painful things that you've done, the belief in retribution that has been attributed to a deity that doesn't even consider retribution. Balance is an absolute necessity in universes. Balance. So divine law, which operates in you, in each one, in each star, in each planet, each sun, each moon, each solar system, the stargates, the multiverses, too humongous to really be calculated or considered at all by the logical mind, which has made everything small enough that it can manage it, including you. Because as you remember, the absolute golden truth, the pure crystalline quality, the sparkle of your magic, the wonder of your destiny. As you can remember that as the veils that have held you small for so long are being pulled away, where you can actually look up into the heavens, and as you are soul connected, you can see the wheel of life that encompasses a planet forever, lifetime after lifetime, world unto world unto world. The magic, the mystery, the magnificence of all that you here on this planet, you right now, here today, you are. To really, as you look in the mirror and say, I'm just one small being, or many of you go so far as to say, I'm a grain of sand on a beach of trillions. But in that overall scheme of things, who you are is vitally important. I am love, and my love is valuable. And as I share my love, not as I give it away, hoping that I can give enough to get something good out of life. No, God didn't put a price on love. This logical world has put a price on everything. But you, dearly beloved, amazing, divine, exquisite, master creators, co-operatives with the divine, are capable of recognizing yourself as more. Your little self would be afraid to acknowledge all that you are. But the more you come home, the more you love, the more you allow that you move through that inner portal to connect with as much as you can allow of your inner world connections. The peace, the quiet, the camaraderie, the coexistence without the feeling of having to close down in order to be in contact with others. The open-hearted comfortability of being, of loving, of owning you. Marvelous. miraculous, then why do they tell me such terrible things? Why are these things done to me? Because your co-creatorship with the divine is the trust, the faith that the divine has in you, that the gift that you were given in love will be wisely used. And yet, the tempter, the logical mind, has lured you, curious children. God knows you really want to explore, you want to know more, you want to go places, you want to learn. You've explored universes, and God doesn't see you as bad because you desire to know more, to be more. But logic has told you the only way that you're really going to learn is to leave yourself. And so you spend lifetimes just one tiny untruth, one little misconception, one accusation after another, calling you outside of this holy temple that the divine created for each one of you, this holy temple, your body. Then why am I sick? Why does it hurt? Because you've listened to the limits of logic that whispers, look what they did to you. What are you going to do to them because they did that to you? Are you going to be weak and let them get away with it? Or are you going to go over there and do back to them what they did to you? Now, logic doesn't talk about the mysteries. In fact, logic, even though scientists are curious, logic has done its best to secret the mysteries of life away, even the ones you carry within yourself directly now. So logic suggests that fighting makes you strong, that warriors are superior to mystics. Oh, yet Jesus Christ is held up as an example to the whole world of a really good man. And there are many who believe that's all Jesus was just a man that had a way with things. Right. And he showed you what you are. He showed you miracles. He showed you infinite patience. He showed you a love that is beyond the conceiving of logic. In fact, the logical world has been reduced to such a place that in the outer world focus, The only way you can love is sexually. Oh, you can love your children, but that's different. And the idea of loving yourself, well, who do you think you are? That's arrogant. That's separatist. No, it's not. The more you can honestly, truly, clearly love yourself, yes, there are flaws. And you know truly within yourself that those flaws require to be healed. That's something that you would even be consciously aware of. How do I stop doing those things? How do I stop living that way? You don't. You allow yourself to change. You allow yourself to feel love for all that you are, no excuses, no defenses, no explanations to anyone else when they say, "Why are you doing that?" Because logically, you may think you're doing it because somebody did something to you, and so you're just getting revenge. And certainly, vengeance is a big thing on the planet now. Even though the Christians who refer to the Bible constantly tend to overlook that admonition of doing unto others as you would have them do unto you, not doing unto others like they did, and doing it better because everything in human competition has to be a measure of, I did it better than they did. They hit me, I hit them harder. They insulted me, I came up with a smear campaign. They hurt my feelings. I'll never speak to them again. I'll shut them out of my life. Dearly beloved, divinely created, amazing masters, anything you shut out of your life also closes some door to you. But what about evil? What about the negativity? If you close a good door, a door to love, a door to opportunity, a door to expansion, in order to keep the doors to painful retribution open, then the pain you experience really isn't so much what was done to you or what you did to them, but that you closed a door and said, I won't deal with that. Because everyone you meet, everything you see, all the beauty that you experience, all the horror is you. The horrible things are simply reflections of what any human being can create when they shut doors to themselves. And the beauty and the wonder and the astounding love that you can experience is you open, available, willing to receive the good that you have given magnified. And when you focus on the sharing of the good you are and letting that beneficial multiplier of the divine bring you even more good than you shared. But no, the logical mind looks for a tally. I gave you this much, and I expect that much back. Now, right there, you've cheated yourself because God would give you at least 3 times as much and maybe even more. But your ego mind says, I gave you this much, and my tally says you owe me that much. So you begin to get a tiny little picture of just how logic has cut you off from your resources by its idea of what equality is. Equality is the fact that each one of you were divinely made, that you were given the same gifts, that everyone has the same creative capability as anybody else. Everyone, everyone. It doesn't matter how it looks in that illusion out there. Every single one of you is a divine creator. Some of you may have chosen to be healers. Others may have chosen to be scientists. Some may have chosen to be mystics. Whatever your personal choice of how you, as a divine creative master, brings your gift to the world, it's still your gift. And how you create it comes from identical tools that all the others had. Yet each soul is so unique that how they choose to use the gifts is different. You never do the same thing twice, no matter how hard you try. Because once you have that experience, you're different. Once you've had that experience, you grow. So there's no necessity for you to keep having the same experience over and over, but the logical mind keeps leading you to do the same things again and again and again and expect a different outcome. So the call in these times of revelation, and certainly the way man has interpreted revelation, is showing itself because that's what humanity's been taught to focus on. Revelation, the last great war, how to avoid war. No, anything you seek to avoid is going to be stuck to you like glue. Avoidance is a magnet. The harder you try to get rid of something, the more it hangs on. We say, let go of what hurt you. And logic says, no, I'm not going to let go of what hurt me. I'm going to punish them. But they're part of you. And all of you are part of God. You wouldn't think of punishing God, perhaps, but if you punish God's creation and you're a part of it, everyone is going to feel it some way. The lessons of life are not punishment. The logical mind says, why me? And spirit says, to help you to have a better life, to help you to be stronger, to help you to expand, to grow, to make a space where you will let more of that divine good that you were created to bring about, to invite into your life, to let more of that in. And the logical mind focuses on retribution, revenge, judgment, measuring. And then when you're alone with yourself, you may recite all the judgments that religion has taught you against yourself. How wrong I am, how bad I am. Or when the ego turns around and you say, I'm really better than they are. I'm better than that, so I shouldn't have to deal with this. Until the world has moved into a place where for a long, 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 long time, people just want to avoid the lessons. If you can avoid the lessons, if you can only get the good stuff, because logic says only the good stuff is worth anything. Those difficult things, those lessons to learn, those challenges of life, those are not anything you want. You only want the good stuff. Until in these times, a vast number of the 8 billion souls on this ball are intoxicated by drug, by substances of all manner that the logical mind has created, by movies, by the computer games that everyone gets interested in, even if you don't intend to. It isn't any of that wrong, but it's when it becomes the driving force, when that becomes the focus. How do I escape the pain? How do I get away from the outcome? How do I manage to move away and not have to go through the lesson? The logical mind is really big on missing steps. I managed to avoid learning that. I managed to escape having to look at that. I don't have to live that. There's even a collective on the planet now who believes that if they amass all the money on the planet, that they will absolutely have the greatest and best life there is. And yet, logic only thinks about the goal in the moment, the satisfaction of this need now. Doesn't want to think about what I do today has a dynamic influence on my future. I just don't want to deal with the bad stuff. So people drug themselves. And then they argue for their addictions because they don't want to face what the world has brought them. So the world is in chaos because there is so much confusion on the planet. Confusion of all the rights and wrongs, the goods and the bads, the how could they do that to me and what can I do back? Dearly beloved masters, it's time to remove your own personal veils of illusion. The need to escape living, to get to a better place. There's a lot of impatience about waiting, and yet many human beings will wait through their whole life in the hope that what they desire will finally come to them. Because the children haven't been taught in so many lifetimes that you're the key to what you desire. God gave you the capability, the tools, the wisdom, the understanding, and most of all, the love that allows you to create the amazing life, the thing you desire to be. Not just once, but again and again and again. I came to this life to be fill in the blanks. And I want to be that. And the world says, then you work hard, you study hard, you try hard. Trying is a no thing. The more you try, the less you get. When the key is, as I be that cooperative creator with the divine, I feel into myself, higher self, personal self, inner knowing, soul, heart, and the collective of masters and beings that serve you. When you are willing to set your focus on what you desire and ask Spirit to show you the way, rather than your logical mind trying to figure out how I get it. Because Spirit will show you paths to take that, even though they may look like they're a longer way to get there, will actually get you there quicker. Ain't nothing what it seems. So the outer world will figure something out that really kind of looks like a maze. or an obstacle course or 40 steps instead of one. Distractions from your goal. When you hold that goal in your soul, it isn't the kid in the back seat saying, "Are we there yet?" But it is a powerful reminder from deep within you. Remember your goal. Because the world is full of distractions that take you away from that powerful intention and attention to what you desire. I desire to be rich. Then let Spirit help you to, one, get really clear what is your idea of rich. Because the world has put some standards out there. This is what rich is. And even though the majority of people have no desire for that, they have come to believe that that's the only way you can be rich. When all those gifts of the divine to help you create will show you, help you understand, help you to value what makes you feel good, what makes you feel beautiful, what makes you feel healthy, what makes you feel divinely connected. I am one with all that is. And this is my individual, my personal expression of the divine in the world. And yet the outer world is full of people and events and things that will tell you how wrong you are, how bad you are, how little you're worth, how nothing you do is good enough. And the majority of it is done, beloved masters, because when you turn away from yourself, you don't feel good enough. So you certainly don't want some other human being standing in front of you flaunting their good outcomes. So you tell them they're wrong, they're bad, they are mistaken. The truth is, when someone tells you you're wrong, the majority of the time, it isn't because you're wrong, but because you're altogether uncomfortably too right for them. That mirror of being better is taken as an affront by the ego when that reflection of something that you desire, you may not yet have achieved it, but if someone has, then you can. So instead of them being wrong, they may be the absolute proof that whatever you desire can be yours if you're willing. Focus on what you desire, not on what you don't want. I'll say it again. Focus on what you desire and not what you don't want. In other words, focus on the achievement of the pleasure rather than on all the things you have to get rid of in order to get to the pleasure, because that's where the logical mind says, gotcha. It isn't about getting rid of anything. It's about letting go of holding on energetically to the things that you don't desire, with the focus on making space for what you do desire. It isn't about focusing on how many jobs I've lost. It's about focusing on what is my goal, that I can look at all these different occupations and see, instead of defeat or failure, the steps to achieving my goal. Oh my God. I'm sick. Why is God punishing me? What do you think is wrong with you? And of course, when the logic is caught with its hands in the cookie jar, it says nothing. I don't think that anything's wrong with me. I'm just fine. It may even be said rather defensively, because the logical mind goes on the defensive a lot. But when you engage with your spirit in your desire to live, and you get really honestly clear with yourself, in yourself, why you desire to live. And the logical mind may say, you've got to be kidding. I don't want to die. Death, as the logical world observes it, is really an illusion that is fulfilled by focusing on not wanting it. Being led to believe perfection is the ultimate outcome, when perfection stops the flow of life. In perfection, there's no movement. In perfection, it's all finished. It's completed, it's done, there's nothing more. Life is full of movement. It is motivated by change. It is absolutely empowered by your desire to live. So trying to outsmart death is calling what you don't want. Find why you desire to live and make that your focus. And if you can't find why you desire to live, ask Spirit to give you some ideas. Because we keep telling you this. The life expectancy on this logical planet is an illusion. You were created to live 1,000 years or more. Well, so look how gradually the logical mind has diminished you from an amazing, divine, creative master that delighted in life for 1,000 years, and perhaps then only left because you decided you wanted to explore something else, not because you couldn't be here anymore. Death says you can't be here anymore. Life says, yes, I can. But logic says war, fight the disease. And dearly beloved masters, when you're fighting, you're not empowering what you really desire. You're focused on war. And war is a distraction from the desire for your greatest good. Isn't the logical mind cunning? And so, dearly beloved masters, we are one in love. The masters that have been here and now are with you in the spirit, you can't see us because you've been taught you can't see us. You've been convinced over lifetimes that you can't see spirit. In fact, logic has done its best to convince you that the spiritual world is just some concept, some theory. Here, right now, in the midst of everything that's going on the planet, is the only place there is. That's what logic says. And yet, inside of you, not to escape, but to discover, to explore, to learn more, to get to know yourself for who you really are, inside of you is the mystical, magical, desirable, even with fairies, but they're not Tinkerbell. They're bigger than you. Where did the Mayans go? They went to a higher dimensional frequency. The whole mass of them. And as you are now moving toward a whole new revelation, a new way of living, a new way of being, moving into a higher dimensional frequency. And the Bible even makes reference to this, even though King James did his best to rewrite the sacred text to deny future generations from the mysticism of the original Aramaic works. And now again, a reincarnation of him is wanting to write so much of the history of the planet out. This never existed. It's mythology. It was a hoax. No, it wasn't. If you can remember it from your cellular memory, you experienced it. Logic says it's just your imagination. Beloved masters, without imagination, you wouldn't have anything. There wouldn't be anything here. You have to image something in order to get it, even if it's a negative. You have to focus on something to bring it into manifestation. You are required to focus on something to bring it into manifestation. Focus on the negatives, and you get a lot. Because whatever you put out returns to you magnified. So focus on the negatives, focus on worry, focus on fear, and you will have a multiplication of what you focus on. You can become more scared. You can become more threatened. You can become smaller. And yes, the logical mind, the ego self, wants you diminished so it can stay in control. But as you move forward into this new becoming, you reconnect with the worlds where it isn't right and wrong, it's sacred. Because the world out there is a divisive place. That's the reason there's so much war. People are always taking sides. And yet, when you take a side, half of you's wrong. Because in your logical mind, you're going back and forth. Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it good? Is it bad? Which way should I go? Spirit shows you an integrated way of being that doesn't make part of it better than the other. All are created equal. And logic has no concept of what that equality is. That a white man is equal to a black man, or a yellow man, or a red man, or a brown man. That a man is equal to a woman of any race. That people that live on the hill are equal to those that live in the ghetto. Oh, that couldn't be possible. Yes, it honestly is. If it weren't, beloved masters, there wouldn't be those that rise up out of the ghetto because they're focusing on their dream more than they're focusing on being in the ghetto. They're not spending every day trying to find out how to get more from someone else without allowing themselves to be more. If you want to be rich, then be in all of your places, in your focus, in your mind, in your soul, in yourself, be rich. But get clear what your idea of rich is, because if you just go out and start buying cars and houses, you're just going to find a lot of debt because the world is about debt and owe. One of the most dangerous games the ego plays. But as you get clear, I'm rich in a comfortable place. I'm rich with beauty around me. I'm rich when I feel loved. Then focus on loving yourself and be amazed that as you love yourself, it opens those doors into other worlds, and your desire to belong begins to attract other people who desire to belong. Well, I don't know if I want to be with people that desire to belong. That must mean they don't have. You always have plenty. That's the way of the divine. And plenty doesn't have a negative opposite. Enough is never enough. But plenty is unlimited. So, dearly beloved masters, allowing yourself to really know yourself and to live you, get to know you, investigate you. You're one of a kind. I want to be like them. Even if you were doing what they're doing, you wouldn't be like them because you would be perhaps potentially imitating something that the world told you you must be when that isn't what you want to be at all. We stand together in love. Know yourself in love so that you can accept that you're not standing outside wishing you were inside. Forgive being better than they are because they may be the ones that would give you the greatest blessing if you knew them. Well, they're a thief or a prostitute, or let the judgments go on and on and on. But when you're living by judgment, it doesn't even allow you to get really close to yourself, much less anyone else. They drive me crazy. What in you is bothered by them? Well, if they would just change, you would still be who you are. If they change and you don't, you'd still wish they'd change. Get real. Love is about you. It can only be about them after it's about you. If you're focused on negativity, then negativity is who you are, and you can't be positive until you forgive the negative and let yourself be positive. Control is an illusion because you can't control what you don't have. You can't control what you don't own. You were granted health and well-being, yet there's so many that are sick. You were granted life, and yet so many are dying. You were granted powerful prosperity, and yet more than two-thirds are impoverished. Where is your focus? How to make it through the day, how to get to tomorrow. That's a flicker of life. But have a number of goals, have large goals that you're clear will come in their own time. But have small goals, attainable goals that will allow you to really enjoy your life today. Forgive making your life unattainable, for trying to have something that, if you're honest, you don't even want it. Yet you're putting your creative energy into attempting to gain something you don't want, rather than putting all of your loving attention into what you desire. Love is not destructive. So, dearly beloved masters, in love, keep your focus on the powerful creation of wonderful new things, and let spirit show you the way. And it may lead you through the dark wood of your own fear and imaginings that have held you back, in order for you to come out the other side free. Forgive avoiding the tests, for very often the answers to your questions are in the test. So often the answer is actually in the problem itself. And so, beloved masters, we are one in love. We stand together, and together we stand. We are with you in every way that you will allow. We cannot, because of divine law, make you be more or less. We cannot take your sorrows away from you, because you have to let them go first. Then we'll take them and we'll transmute them and we'll return them to you as new creative essence. There is no loss in God. And so, beloved masters, in the greatest of love, we are with you every step of the way. You must walk the first half of the Rainbow Bridge to let go of all the burdens you've carried. But we'll meet you in the middle and we'll dance our way across the rest of the bridge into a new becoming in love.